Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the Bullpen today, she's back. We have Miss Corinne Clark, co-founder of freepressfail.com, Republican strategist who works with conservative campaigns all over the country, crafting their messaging. So I thought it would be fitting to have such an expert on the program to talk about the messaging of Trump, specifically as it relates to the new thing, which is, well, there's a recording of him with classified documents, knowing they were still classified, which is contrary to the messaging he laid out that they were not. All right, Ms. Clark, I don't want to presume what you know or believe about Trump's messaging or statement before or after. If you would, offer it, I would then opine.
Well, it seems this week that the media got a hold of an audio recording, as you mentioned, of Trump discussing what is presumed to be a classified document that he has the authority to declassify and classify documents. And federal prosecutors are saying that they're pursuing a case against this because it is contrary to what President Trump previously said about classified documents. I think what is concerning about this is that we're seeing yet another lawsuit brought about against Trump that seems to have been leaked to the media before it goes to court for political purposes. And I think what we're going to see here is another case that blows up in the face of liberal prosecutors who spoke too soon, and we'll have to watch how it plays out.
You know, that is interesting. You do realize that Donald Trump himself appointed some of these liberal investigators and prosecutors that you all are claiming are left-leaning, even though Trump was behind the appointment. Let me ask you a question in reference to the absolute narrative about him having classified documents. Now, he said they were actually declassified because, and let me just read it to you for the sake of clarity. Sean Hannity posed the question during that infamous interview. Is there a process, he says. What is your process to declassify? Trump replies, there doesn't have to be a process, as I understand it. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it. So let me ask you this question. Can Donald Trump declassify documents by thinking about it?
Absolutely, the president is the ultimate authority on classification. And if you look at the regulations of this, there's not actually a lot of law at all that regulates classification. It is all regulated through agency codes, executive orders, or executive boards that have some kind of say on how classification is implemented. And all of those regulations are not regulations of the president's authority. They're regulations of agency authority, because the only authority on classification, the ultimate authority on classification, is the president of the United States. It also works for security clearance like that. Like Donald Trump does not need a security clearance because the people gave him a security clearance when they elected him. He was elected to do with that information what he wants to. And I think they're going to have a hard time in court proving that he violated any kind of classification regulation, because there is no classification regulation of the president.
Interesting. So you said that the president of the United States can declassify simply by thinking about it. You want to stick with that answer?
He doesn't need to do anything to declassify. He's allowed to discuss any information as he pleases.
Once again, the question is, do you believe Donald Trump can declassify by thinking about it? As he said to Hannity, your answer was yes. I'm giving you an opportunity to correct it if you would like to. But if not, we'll roll with it. Do you believe a president can declassify information by simply having a thought, it is now thus declassified?
I believe there is no regulation that says that is not the case.
Can a president declassify information by stumping his left toe twice?
He doesn't need to do anything. There is no physical action required from the president to declassify information. Anytime that he chooses to discuss information, classified or not, it is at his will to do so.
But that's not the issue at hand. Discussion.
It absolutely is, because it is
discussion,
not a violation of law, then it's not illegal.
No, ma'am, the discussion is not the issue. The issue is if the documents were declassified or classified. Remember when you all said Hillary Clinton needed to go to prison because she had classified information?
That's actually not what we said. That was a much more difficult case.
No, that is what many conservatives said.
No,
absolutely. Many conservatives said that she had classified emails. And those classified emails should have led to her arrest. But the question is real simple. If a president can declassify information just by thinking about it, you have to think about how ridiculous that is, madam.
Was Hillary Clinton the president?
Say that again?
Hillary Clinton was never the president, so you're
no. The point is, no, ma'am, that's not the point. The point is,
when I said the president is the ultimate authority on classification,
I'm going to make my point, and my point is going to be my point. And my point is, if you believe the insanity that Donald Trump can declassify by thinking about it, then why didn't you all say, well, I wonder did President Obama think about it, and thus they will declassify for Hillary Clinton? Because declassification, madam, declassification, I'm going to finish my point, ma'am. Declassification is not for the president, it's for the public. The declassification process allows for the public to have access to the information. So if a president can declassify by way of thinking of it, that means it is available to me and you. Do you not understand that's the reason for declassification? It becomes a public record. Right?
There's actually several stages of declassification. And
yes, there we go. Several stages of declassification. I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much.
There are many stages, and all of them lie in the hands of the president. The ultimate authority of classification is repeatedly stated through multiple codes and regulations.
Well, where's the one about thinking about it?
There's not one law, and you have not stated one.
But where? No, ma'am, you haven't stated a law that said you can think about declassification as president.
If there's not a law that says that this is exactly how you declassify, then it says, as every regulation says, again, it is actually not a law. These are all executive orders and executive regulations. They all say that the ultimate authority lies with the president, and there is absolutely zero regulation on what the president does with that information. There is a ton of regulation of what the executive branch, other than the executive, does. That's what those orders regulate. They regulate agencies, they regulate members of the administration, much like the Secretary of State. And all of those people have very clear instructions on handling of classified information. The president is not under those regulations.
So when Trump said that the documents were declassified because he took them out of the White House, but then there's a conversation afterwards where he says, I can't do what I want to do with these documents because they are in fact classified. You as a messaging strategist, do you not see the irony or the conflict of his own narrative?
The narrative there is actually, I think, to do with security, that he didn't want to go public with these records, but not that he could not legally possess them. The possession of the documents is not illegal, and there is no regulation that couldn't say that he couldn't declassify them and that he couldn't possess them.
Well, this is
the Presidential Records Act gives him the authority to remove any documents from the White House that he wanted. And he seems to be discussing that he did not want this to become public because he thought it would be harmful. But if we want to talk about the contents of the document,
that's not what the narrative says, madam. That's not what the narrative says. That's a lie. That's not what the narrative says at all. He did not want to go public because he knew they were classified and he was restricted on what he could do as a former president. That's according to but that's more than what you have. You just made something up. You don't have a narrative at all that says he said that.
Maybe you have an informant at the prosecutor's office that none of us do.
No, I read what the report said. Okay, so how did you come up with your conclusion? Where you get yours from? Who told you?
The conclusion is that he said he did not want to release it because he thought it could be harmful. From what people have paraphrased, I have not.
I've always wondered that question. I've always wondered, if they're declassified and he's supposed to be this great champion doing it for, the people, like he always does. If he has this classified, declassified documentation that should be released to the public, why did he not release one damn document?
I actually do think it should be.
But why did he not do it?
The memo.
Why did he not release it?
The memo was from General Milley suggesting that.
Why did he not release it
to Iran and goes to war with Iran? Donald Trump said, "I think that's crazy. That saved how many American lives, how many Iranian lives, and was better for our entire country. Make it
Biden, and we have another
that Donald Trump was smarter than some of the stupid generals that we put in power.
When I ask that you respect the platform, we do have another show coming up. Just very quickly, when Biden took classified documents, we found out that he had classified documents in his office. When Biden took classified documents out of the White House, or when others have taken classified documents out of the White House, why did you all say what they did was criminal?
We haven't said it's criminal. That's why he's not being prosecuted.
Yes, no, you have. No, you definitely. Plenty of individuals said it. Even Donald Trump mentioned it. Even Trump mentioned it during the CNN interview.
He mentioned it to say that why would I be prosecuted for something that the vice president did as well? There is no prosecution against Joe Biden. I guess you are saying if they're on equal footing that you also believe this is ridiculous.
Yeah. So we
agree then.
No, we don't agree, madam. I would probably never agree with much of whatever you say. But I will ask you this: do you think other presidents have declassified things with their brain?
I believe that the president has the ultimate authority to declassify, so I have no issue with the president making the decision to declassify a document.
Yeah, but is that a decision? I mean, do you accept that from, let's say, your family or friends, that is a decision that's made if I think about it?
Sure.
Silly as hell. I appreciate you being on the show, though. Thank you.
Thanks.